There's this list online that I like to refer to whenever I'm searching for video ideas. It's just basically a list of philosophical questions to ask. And I'm just thinking that I'm just going to go down the list slowly but surely anytime that I feel like I want to make a video like this. And today just happens to be one of those days that we're just going to call it Philosophical Friday. Even though it's a P and an F instead of like a P and a P and an F and an F, I'm just going to make it work. It's fine. Don't worry about it. The question today is free will real or is it an illusion? Now, back whenever I was Catholic, we were taught that free will is real because God decided that we should be able to choose Him or not to choose Him. Now, at a certain late point while I was still Catholic, I had realized that free will was basically an illusion under the idea of Catholicism due to the fact that if God is all knowing and all powerful and would have created us and designed us with a plan, that means that we're destined to live out that plan because since he had always known we were going to do that plan to begin with, it was just going to happen. I know it doesn't make sense. I don't want to dedicate a whole video to that specific ideal because I don't like talking about religion more than I have to, but basically in the late stages of my Catholic development to where I eventually left, I made the decision that it was a contradiction and that you could not have free will under that system. Now, if we're talking about a non-religious ideal of whether or not free will is real or not, I think that's really interesting. So we have, when we're born, a predetermined set of things that can possibly happen to us. Based on your socioeconomic status, your race, where you're born, a lot of different factors can play into where your future kind of leads to. You can't always pull yourself up by your bootstraps and become a super successful person if that's what you want, because you have circumstances outside of your control that disallow you from doing that. Does that mean you don't have free will because your circumstances are kind of set for you? Yes and no. The thing is, you're also, a lot of the things that you decide to do later on in life are also determined by what you're taught early on. If you grow up in a super conservative religious family, you are much more likely to have an outcome of being super conservative and Republican going forward in your life. Because you're like brainwashed into believing a certain ideal that your parents have, you're less likely to actually exert your own free will because you were brainwashed. So whenever you grow up religious or with a certain kind of political ideal, you're more likely to carry those on going on. That's not really free will. Sure, you can choose to follow in your parents' footsteps, but because you're kind of brainwashed as a child and told over and over again, these are the truths and these are the lies, it makes it pretty difficult for somebody to actually choose to believe in a certain thing. Now, I almost got lucky growing up having a Democrat atheist dad and a Republican Catholic mom because I became an agnostic and independent as a result. But my outcomes are very different from most people around me. Most people in my area are Republican and conservative, and they typically are some flavor of Christianity. And usually the main reason why people my age stay that way is because that's just how they were raised, not because they necessarily truly believe in those ideals. And oftentimes they don't actually follow those ideals how they're supposed to because they don't care, it's just how they were born and raised. In this case, free will is not necessarily real because we have a lot of circumstances that are outside of our control before we're even born that will determine a lot of what we could be going forward. Now, of course, again, people can always make the choice to decide not to be a certain thing or not to believe in a certain thing, but the reality is, statistically, you're more likely just to stay with the religion and political system your parents taught you or that you grew up around. Because as herd theory, because we're all sheep inside, right, we're more likely to emulate those around us and to kind of copy what they believe in because it's easier for us. That's just how we kind of operate as humans in a society. So to answer the question in a yes or no, I'm going to say no, but with a caveat that there is potential to have and to exert some free will, but your entire life and all of your everything is not completely free will. It's only certain aspects in certain situations and certain scenarios. I hope you guys enjoy this Philosophical Friday. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. Do not forget to keep it pseudo-philosophical.